again. I anticipate that the argument will be that there is no DNA that connects Mario Fernandez to that crime scene. There is no witness that puts Mario Fernandez at that crime scene. There's no surveillance that puts Mario Fernandez at that crime scene. There is no photos or DNA or evidence or ballistics testing that put a 10mm firearm in the hand of Mario Fernandez, handing it to Henry Tenon. And that is because of the nature of this crime. The almost perfect crime, designed so that there would be no link to this defendant, designed so he would never get caught. How can I show you a text between Mario Fernandez and Henry Tenon about murdering Jared Bridegan when they have deleted all of their texts? How can I show you the geographic location of Mario Fernandez the night of the homicide if he has turned his phone off?
You want to be heard?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I'll sustain it.
Henry Tenon is not available as a witness in this case. Henry Tenon and Mario Fernandez committed this crime together, and Henry Tenon can't be here to tell you about their conversations. There would be no way in the world this defendant would write murder on the subject line of a check. Of course, he would launder the money. Of course, he would make it look legitimate. Of course, he would hope and pray and expect that the Jacksonville Beach Police Department would just never, ever, ever figure out it was Henry Tenon and never figure out the connection to him. If you outsource your murder, you are doing it so that your DNA and your footprints and your fingerprints are nowhere near the crime. When I spoke about the defendant and Ms. Gardner being the architects of Jared Bridegan's murder, that's exactly what I mean. If you are an architect, if you design a house and pay someone to do the painting, of course, there is not going to be the architect's DNA on the paintbrush. There's not going to be surveillance of the architect buying the supplies. There's not going to be a witness saying, I saw the architect painting this house. That's what solicitation and principle means. That doesn't mean that the architect didn't plan it, want it, finance it. And it doesn't mean the architect wasn't satisfied with the outcome. Individually, you can explain anything away. But a reasonable doubt is not a possible, speculative, imaginary, forced doubt, a guess, conjecture, or proof beyond all doubt. There is always some possible, hypothetical, made-up explanation for something. But you cannot go down that path. You have to look to the evidence and the testimony and your common sense. All of the evidence. This is the last portion, and then I'm wrapping up, I promise. The Getty Museum in New York City did this exhibit on textiles. What they did was they showed microscopic views. So what you see here is a fabric, and when you look at it under a microscope, ancient fabrics, you can see the minor defects, the imperfections in the threads, the weaving, the wear and tear over time. And then in the exhibit, when you pull back, you see how the threads are woven, how they connect, and what the tapestry shows. The law does not require a microscopic view of the evidence. It does not require proof beyond all doubt. It does not require perfection. No matter what you look at individually, how close you look at it, when you step back and see how it all relates together, the witnesses, the testimony, the motive, it is clear that it makes sense. No matter how much you look at these individually, you are going to keep coming back to this conclusion. You can test it, you can argue it, you can play devil's advocate, but there is no other conclusion that makes sense other than this defendant had Henry Tenon killed Jared Bridegan. It is unexplainable in any other way for all of these to add up together. And if you think that there is no reasonable doubt that he aided, encouraged, incited, solicited, or was there that night, then you have a duty to find him guilty. And that brings us to your verdict, which is the truth. For those of us that do work in homicide, we have an expression. To the living, we owe respect. To the dead, we owe the truth. Your verdict will forever define the death of Jared Bridegan and the responsibility.
Overruled.
It will forever define the death of Jared Bridegan and the responsibility and culpability under the law of those that planned it, of those that wanted it, and of those that made it happen. The shooter was a stranger. The murder was personal. This defendant is that thread that runs through that whole tapestry, and no matter where you yank it will not come unraveled. It all comes together, and it all connects through him. Find him guilty as charged.
Thank you, Ms. Stifler. Members of the jury, we're going to take our lunch recess and return back for the remainder of the closing arguments. I'm going to remind you that at this point in time, since closings, I'm going to restrict the phones. Mr. Holman, I'm going to restrict the phones, okay? You can have your lunch recess, but because the evidence is being summed up, I'm going to restrict your phone use while we're in session today, okay? Leave your notepads on your chair, follow the communication rules over the recess, and I hope that you all enjoy your lunch. All right, please let the record reflect that the jury has left the courtroom due to the extended nature. Normally, everyone may be seated. So generally speaking, when we close cases down, I wouldn't have given them access to their phones, so I'm not going to give it to them over the lunch recess. Was there any objection to that? No. All right, so after the lunch recess, we'll call this, it's 12:22, we'll call it 12:30. We'll return back at 1:30. The defense will be set up for a closing argument. Okay, if there's something that comes up, let me know. You all enjoy your lunch. Court's in recess.